Well, it's been an extraordinary day for South African politics and for South Africa after the overnight cabinet reshuffle. A lot of people speaking out against it today from various walks of life across political parties. We heard Ahmed Kathrada's wife, Barbara Hogan, speaking out today about the president's move, and also standing ovations for the finance minister and his deputy, who said goodbye to Treasury officials today.
And earlier this evening, of course, the Democratic Alliance tried to stop a swearing-in process for the new ministers and deputy ministers, but it went ahead. And who was there at the time was Mzwandile Mbeje. Let's cross to him now and catch up in the aftermath of that swearing-in ceremony. Mzwai?
Peter, thank you very much. We have just concluded the swearing-in ceremony of the new ministers. But of course, the most talked about portfolio since the announcement by the president last night is that of Treasury, the finance minister. With me is the new finance minister, Minister Malusi Gigaba. Mr. Gigaba, here you are. You have seen the reaction. How does it feel that you are in this portfolio now?
Well, I think it's a sobering reality for me. It also has given me a better sense of the gravity of the position that to which I've now been appointed, and I am fully focused on the tasks before me to ensure faster growth, to ensure inclusive growth, a shared wealth, to implement the policies as the president outlined for radical economic transformation. I understand that we are not going to act in any reckless way. We will have to act, whatever we do, within the confines of the budget as adopted by Parliament. And so my feelings right now are that we have a big task ahead of us. I would want to focus on consulting the stakeholders, engaging different stakeholders, both domestic and international, to ensure that we all focus our attention on economic growth and ensuring employment and fighting inequality and poverty. And towards that extent, my doors are open. I will be engaging as broadly as possible. Already earlier today, I had a telephonic conversation with the former minister, Minister Pravin Gordhan, and Deputy Minister Mzwandile Jonas. I will be meeting with them at the beginning of the new week. I have had a meeting with the ExCo, the administration of the department. I had discussions this afternoon with Fitch and Moody's, and we are going to continue engaging different stakeholders.
So what do you make of the largely negative reaction from certain sectors?
Well, the largely negative reaction has been in the media and other interested groups. It should be expected. I think some people are shocked. Some people have also vested interests. And so you should expect that there will be different reaction. But there has also been overwhelming positive response from the masses of our people. And that is where I, as a minister in this government, representing the ruling party, draw my mandate from. Having said that, I am not daunted or fazed by what has been negative reaction from some quarters. I think as we get to know one another, we will understand one another and learn to work with one another, because I think those people who are critical, just as myself, we are all patriots. We all want the best for South Africa. Their reaction is not based on any malicious intent on their part. They are concerned about the country. They are concerned about the direction we are taking. They would want to know whether they should be comfortable and secure with me. And I am going to go out of my way to engage with them, to give them that reassurance. But at the top of my agenda is not the specific interests of different interest groups. It is the overwhelming interests of the people of South Africa, most of whom are unemployed. They live in poverty. They are marginalized from the economy. We need to ensure faster and inclusive growth, and that should be the focus of all of us. And so I welcome the negative feedback from our fellow compatriots, whoever they are. They must know that as a seasoned politician, I have more than 21 years in the National Executive Committee of the ANC, more than 8 years as president of the ANC Youth League, 11 years as minister, no, 13 years as minister. And so I am really not fazed by criticism. I think it's positive and it can be harnessed towards positive results.
Can you assure the investors, perhaps the international investors who may not know so much about you, that you are actually up to the challenge?
I am sure that when President Mandela became president of the country, he had a particular challenge that he had never presided over a country before. The same applied to the finance minister in 1996, the former minister Trevor Manuel. The same applied to the now outgone minister, Minister Pravin Gordhan, and others before me. They had never occupied these positions. I bring here a wealth of experience politically. I command, and I can say this with all humility but confidence, that I command a lot of respect within the ranks of the ruling party. I command a wealth of experience in government with 13 years under my belt, having been during 4 of those years the Minister of Public Enterprises responsible for the expansion of the capital investment plan of Transnet from 110 billion rand over 3 years to 307 billion rand over 7 years. I was responsible for a series of engagements with Eskom and the construction companies that were involved in the Medupi and Kusile projects to try and push the implementation and meeting of the timelines for the new build program. I was involved in the stabilization of the governance of these state-owned companies. My tenure as the Minister of Home Affairs in the last 3 years has seen a new policy framework being adopted yesterday or on Wednesday by Cabinet on international migration, a new business case for Home Affairs. There are plans for the modernization of the department. The digitization strategy is going to be unveiled soon. So I have a wealth of experience that I think that the investors internationally and domestically should be very comfortable with. I do not have a record of reckless pronouncements or decision-making. But one thing they need to know about me is that I am not afraid to take decisions. And much as I am open-minded and welcoming to opinions and suggestions, and I have an open-door policy, but I also am a very decisive and firm leader. I'm not afraid of taking decisions. And once I have taken those decisions, I can rationalize them in an argument with anybody.
So what then do you make of sometimes the rand, when there are certain pronouncements, it goes down and the markets react in a particular way? So how are you going to be able to be dealing with those matters?
I don't think that anybody should try to control the rand. I think the rand should, its exchange rate should continue to be set by the markets. We will try to the best extent possible to stabilize it by making correct decisions. But those correct decisions must be influenced by what is in the best interest of the poorest of the poor and the working people of our country. We therefore understand the responses of the markets when they have concerns. We will engage with all stakeholders, like my predecessors. When we face instability at the level of our foreign exchange rate, we will engage with the stakeholders to provide them reassurances, because at times what the markets want is not so much decisions or opinions that they necessarily like, but they want certainty, they want leadership, they want to know that a decision has been taken. Right now, a decision has been taken. There is a new minister at National Treasury, at Finance. And therefore, that provides certainty as to the leadership issues. We will, therefore, utilizing this platform, engage with the stakeholders to give them the assurances of our leadership, the continuity at a policy level, and that in terms of our fiscal policy stance, there will also be continuity. There are many positive signs with the South African economy. including the fact that we have been able to stabilize the energy situation in the country. The drought seems to be behind us. We are envisaging bumper crop for this current year. With all the instability that we have seen in the exchange rate in the last few months, our currency continues to be, its rate continues to be set by the markets, and it continues to be strong enough. And so we are quite comfortable that we are on the right track. The concerns that have been expressed by different stakeholders, we will engage with them. We may not be able to satisfy all of them all the time, but we believe that we understand that in the markets they are pursuing their economic interests, and that many of the political and other stakeholders in the country are concerned about the direction and the interests of the country. And so we share the same opinions, we have the same concerns. We are not concerned about that.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Thank you.
That was Minister of Finance there sharing his thoughts about the portfolio that he has just assumed, that of Minister of Finance. So indicating that he will engage everyone that needs to be engaged, and he is very much aware of some South Africans that perhaps have reservations. So he says, so he will do everything in the best interest of the country, Peter.
Thank you very much, Mbeje, reporting from the guest house in Pretoria, the presidential guest house. And yes, every step that Malusi Gigaba makes, every decision that he makes, will be scrutinized. He really is in the spotlight, given the controversy and the run-up to the sacking of Pravin Gordhan.
Right, and I think Cas Cavadia, the CEO of the Banking Association of South Africa, hit the nail on the head, that it's not really about him, and this poor guy actually is in a difficult position, not of his own making, and so perhaps they shouldn't be too critical about him. He has to still prove himself. But just that how we got there is what people are questioning, not so much who replaced Pravin Gordhan.
And he was basically suggesting something has been triggered that'll be hard to untrigger, and we already saw a statement from Fitch rating agency today saying that this cabinet reshuffle it considers now to be a change in policy direction, and it believes that a whole lot of things that would have happened under the previous administration, certainly in finance, now won't happen. So that could trigger downgrades, and Malusi Gigaba, that's his first big problem, that we're sitting just off junk status at the moment.
On a lighter note, he's probably going to be the best dressed finance minister in the world.